Have you ever paused and truly wondered why your pet was born in that exact year? Why not a year earlier? Why not a few months later? What if I told you that their birth year down to the very last digit wasn't random at all? According to ancient spiritual wisdom and the deep soul teachings of Edgar Cayce, the year your pet came into this world carries a hidden message, a vibrational code, a kind of spiritual fingerprint, one that says, "This is who I am. This is what I came to offer. This is the energy I will bring into your life." You see, Cayce believed animals don't just live beside us, they walk with us through lifetimes. Their souls evolve, they return, and sometimes they come back for us. The last digit of their birth year. It's more than just a number on paper. It's a soul signature, an imprint of the purpose they carry and the karmic role they came to fulfill in your life. It reveals how they help you grow, heal, transform. Maybe you thought you simply adopted a pet. But what if it was never that simple? What if you were meant to walk this life together at that exact moment in time, because that's when your souls aligned, because they chose that year to find you? So before we move forward, take a moment to reflect on your own experience with your pet. Was there ever a time they seemed to show up exactly when you needed them most? It's not just affection or companionship they bring. It's something deeper, something timeless. In Edgar Cayce's spiritual view, animals are not merely instinctual beings. They are soul-infused presences, capable of returning, of evolving, and of choosing to come back for those they've loved before. Their souls carry memory, intention, and purpose. And just like human souls, their journey is marked by signs, clues hidden in subtle vibrations. One of the clearest of these clues is the year they were born. More specifically, the final digit of that year. That one number carries energetic weight. It echoes the kind of healing they're here to offer, the karma they're helping you release, and the emotional frequency they anchor into your home. Think of it like this: just as we are born into specific families to learn and unlearn what our souls need, animals are born into specific timelines to meet the exact humans their spirit chose to help. You didn't just meet your pet randomly at a shelter, or from a breeder, or on the street. It was aligned, timed, guided. Their birth year wasn't the beginning of their story. It was the return point, the moment they re-entered this world with intention. So when you begin to understand the energy behind that birth year, you begin to see your pet differently, not just as your companion, but as a soul partner, a bridge between lifetimes, a messenger of something higher. Because they don't just love you, they help evolve you, quietly, steadily, faithfully, just as they always have. But maybe you're still wondering, how can a simple number, the last digit of a birth year, reveal something as deep as a soul's purpose? The answer, as always, lives in vibration. Everything is energy. Everything carries a frequency. And in many ancient traditions, including those that inspired Cayce's readings, numbers are not cold, lifeless symbols. They are alive. They hum with meaning. They represent cosmic patterns, invisible blueprints that shape the way a soul enters this world. That final digit in your pet's birth year, it acts as a kind of spiritual key, a tone, a hidden message, like a tuning fork that shapes the way they show up in your life. I once spoke to a woman named Claire. She had a dog named Leo, born in 2010. The number 0. When Claire adopted him, her life had just fallen apart. Divorce, job loss, complete disorientation. But Leo brought something strange and powerful. not just comfort, but a sense of rebirth. It was as if he was there not to carry her burdens, but to remind her she wasn't broken, just beginning again. He would rest beside her when she cried, nudge her outside for walks when she felt stuck, and tilt his head as if asking, "Are you ready to begin again?" That's the power of the zero rebirth, renewal, cycles restarting. Claire told me that if it wasn't for Leo, she might have stayed frozen. But something about him kept nudging her gently, soulfully, into motion. This isn't just sentiment, it's soul recognition. You might notice similar patterns if you pause and reflect. Look at your pet's birth year now. What's the last digit that number speaks? And in just a moment, we'll explore what each one means from 0 to 9. But before we do, remember this: your pet didn't come into your life by accident, and neither did the year they were born. It was part of a soul contract, one they agreed to, long before you ever met. All you need now is to remember how to read it. Let's begin with the number 0, because this is where everything starts, and where everything begins again. If your pet's birth year ends in 0, they carry the vibration of transformation, of endings and sacred new beginnings. These are the animals that come into your life, not just to comfort you, but to help you reinvent yourself. I once heard from a man named Jonah, whose cat Luna was born in 2000, the darkest year of his life. He had just lost both parents in a car crash and had withdrawn completely from the world. Luna was found in a cardboard box behind a bookstore, shivering, tiny, but fierce. Jonah said he didn't rescue her, she rescued him. Every morning, Luna would sit beside the window, waiting, as if to remind him light still exists. A future is still possible. People born under 0 often have to learn to let go. Pets born under 0 help you do the same. They carry that quiet knowing that even after destruction, beauty can return. These souls are the phoenixes in fur and feathers. They hold space for your collapse and lovingly nudge you toward rebirth. And if you've ever felt like your pet came at the perfect moment to lift you from the ashes, you're not imagining it. They knew, they chose, and they came to begin again with you. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to support more soulful reflections like this by subscribing to Philosophy Between Us, where animal souls, human hearts, and timeless truths meet. As Edgar Cayce often said, each soul chooses its own conditions, its own time, its own companions, for one reason: to grow. The same is true for the animals we love. Their birth year is not chance, it is a soul's timing. A vibrational doorway through which they entered, carrying exactly the energy we would need, not to entertain us, but to evolve beside us. Because even the smallest creatures carry the weight of divine design. And now, if your pet's birth year ends in the number 1, their soul carries a very different frequency, a bold, luminous energy of leadership and forward motion. Pets marked by the number 1 are often the ones who seem unusually intelligent, strong-willed, or fiercely protective, as if they were born knowing they have a mission. I remember a woman named Elise who told me about her German shepherd, Argo, born in 2011. She adopted him during a time when she was trapped in an emotionally abusive relationship and had lost her confidence entirely. Argo, from the moment he entered her home, took charge not just of the space, but of her spirit. He would physically place himself between Elise and her partner during fights, stare with an intensity that almost said, You deserve better. You know that. Elise told me that walking with Argo gave her back her spine, his posture, his energy. Even his stubbornness made her feel strong again. That's the gift of the number 1 pets born under this number. Guide you toward your own inner power. They walk ahead of you sometimes, literally, but they're never far. They push you out of stagnation, out of fear, and back into who you truly are. Following that trail of strength, we move into a different kind of power, softer, quieter, but no less profound. If your pet's birth year ends in the number 2, they carry the sacred energy of emotional intuition, of healing not through action, but presence. I once heard from a widower named Thomas, who had lost his wife after 32 years together. He was drowning in silence until a small grey tabby named Willow, born in 2002, arrived from a rescue centre. Willow never meowed much, never demanded anything. But each night, without fail, she would curl against his chest, purring softly, matching the rhythm of his aching heart. Thomas said it was like she could feel the grief he never spoke. That's the gift of pets born under number 2. They absorb your sorrow without asking questions and reflect it back to you in ways only a soul truly listening could. They are the quiet mirrors, the emotional translators of pain into peace. If your pet is a 2, they didn't just come to live beside you, they came to feel for you, to hold space, to heal what you never said out loud. If this speaks to something buried deep in your heart, don't leave quietly. Subscribe to Philosophy Between Us, where we honor these invisible threads between souls, between species, and between lifetimes. And while the number 2 holds the emotional space, the number 4 arrives to build something more solid: structure, grounding, and a quiet sense of safety. If your pet's birth year ends in 4, they came into your life to be a steady root when everything else felt uncertain. I once heard from a young woman named Rachel who had grown up in foster care, moving from house to house, never belonging anywhere. On her 18th birthday, she adopted a large, calm-eyed Labrador named Bishop, born in 2014. She said he didn't just fill her apartment. He anchored it. Wherever Bishop lay down, that place became home. Through college, job changes, even breakups. Bishop was the one constant. He would stand by the door each evening as if to say, "You still have someone waiting for you." That's the spirit of a number 4 pet. They are the foundation beneath your chaos. Their soul teaches you it's okay to trust again, to build again, to believe in permanence even if life has taught you not to. If your pet is a 4, they came not to change your world overnight, but to hold it steady while you rebuilt, brick by brick, breath by breath. But not every soul comes to stay still. Some arrive to awaken your sense of movement, possibility, and change, and that's exactly what a pet born under the number 5 carries. These are the restless spirits, the explorers in fur and feathers, who remind you that life was never meant to be lived on repeat. I remember a musician named Dario who had given up touring after losing his brother. He said the world had become too heavy, too quiet. Then came Kiko, a border collie born in 2015. She had endless energy, a wild love for running, chasing light, dancing through puddles, dragging him literally back outside. One morning, he followed her to a hillside near his town, where she simply stopped and stared at the sunrise. And he said it was the first time in years he felt breath in his chest again. That's the magic of the 5. They pull you into the now. They don't ask you to explain your sadness. They ask you to outrun it, to play through it, to be alive in spite of it. If your pet carries this number, they came to teach you joy through movement and freedom through spontaneity. They are the wind in your stillness and the reason you remember how to run. Edgar Cayce once shared, "The soul does not seek comfort, it seeks growth through experience, through change, through movement." Even our animal companions follow this law. Some come to root us, others come to shake the ground beneath us, so we remember how to move, to adapt, to live more freely. The arrival of each is not a shelter from life, but an invitation to fully engage with it. And while some pets inspire movement, others awaken something far more tender, your capacity to love without conditions, expectations, or fear. If your pet's birth year ends in the number 6, they are a heart opener in the truest, most sacred sense. I once received a letter from a retired nurse named Helena, who had sworn never to love again after her husband passed, until a rescue dog named Clover, born in 2006, came into her life. Clover didn't ask for love, she offered it, quietly, fully, without ever needing anything in return. Helena wrote that Clover would press her head against her chest in moments when grief returned, as if to say, "You don't have to carry it alone." Pets born with the 6 energy come to soften your defenses, to teach you that love isn't control, it's presence. It's knowing how to sit in silence with someone and still be heard. These souls don't just open your heart, they remind you it was never truly closed. And if your life has been touched by a creature like this, don't let that truth go unseen. Subscribe to Philosophy Between Us, where the quiet lessons of love, soul, and healing are finally given the space they deserve. And then there are the ones who don't say much, don't demand attention, but seem to carry entire galaxies in their gaze. If your pet's birth year ends in the number 7, they embody the soul of a mystic quiet, knowing, attuned to things beyond what words can touch. I remember Jonah, a veteran who struggled for years with anxiety and sleepless nights, until he met Nori, a black cat born in 2007. She never meowed at night, never pawed or cried, she simply lay at the foot of his bed, eyes open, steady, like a sentry between worlds. Jonah told me that during panic attacks, he didn't need grounding exercises. He just needed to hold Nori's gaze. Pets born under 7 don't come to entertain or distract. They come to remind you of something sacred, that silence is not emptiness, and stillness is not absence. They teach you to listen with your whole being, to trust intuition, and to find presence even in pain. If your pet carries this energy, maybe you've already felt it, that strange comfort of being seen without explanation. Let that stay with you. Let it work quietly, as they always do. After the silence of the mystic comes a presence that is firmer, stronger, an energy that doesn't just comfort you, but protects you. If your pet's birth year ends in the number 8, they came into your life with a powerful purpose to ground you in times of chaos and to help you rise through trials that might have broken you alone. I once spoke with David, a single father who lost everything during the 2008 financial crisis. His job, his house, and nearly his sense of self. With 2 small children to care for, he felt like the world was collapsing. Then came Onyx, a Rottweiler puppy born that same year. David said that Onyx wasn't just loyal, he was like a sentinel, fiercely alert, unshakable. When David would come home defeated, Onyx would sit by his side, immovable, as if to say, "You're not falling apart, not on my watch." Through eviction, couch surfing, rebuilding his business from scratch, Onyx never left his side. And when things finally turned, David said it wasn't luck. It was grit. It was presence. It was the silent strength Onyx gave him every time he wanted to give up. That's what an 8 soul brings. They don't rescue you. They remind you you've had the strength all along. They stabilize your energy, walk beside you through fire, and anchor you back to yourself. If your pet carries the energy of the 8, you probably already know they didn't just show up to be loved. They showed up to hold the line when you couldn't do it alone. Edgar Cayce taught that the material and the spiritual are not separate. They are one path, woven through the choices of the soul. Some animals come into our lives to guide us inward, into silence, into meaning. Others come to help us return to the world, to face what's tangible, to build, to lead, to survive with grace. Both paths are sacred. Both are necessary. And our pets, they often carry the bridge between the two. And finally, we come to the number 9, the soul that doesn't arrive to begin something, but to help you bring something to a close. If your pet's birth year ends in 9, their energy holds the vibration of completion, of release, of karmic healing that may stretch across lifetimes. These pets often come during seasons when you're unknowingly finishing an old chapter 1 that has quietly lingered, unresolved. I once heard from Angela, a woman in her 60s who had never really processed the loss of her first child. A stillbirth she carried in silence for decades. She never spoke about it. No one in her family even knew. But in 2019, a frail little rescue cat named Solace came into her life unexpected, unwanted by others, but somehow instantly familiar. Angela said there was something in Solace's eyes that broke her. Not from sadness, but recognition. Every night, Solace would curl up on Angela's chest, right where her arms had once cradled empty space. "One night," she whispered, "I'm sorry I never got to hold you longer." And for the first time in 40 years, she allowed herself to weep. That's the power of a number 9 soul. They don't come to fix you. They come to help you let go with grace, with truth, with the kind of love that expects nothing in return. If your pet carries this energy, they may have only stayed a short time. Or maybe they've been beside you for years, but their presence has likely nudged you toward closure you didn't even know you needed. They remind you that grief doesn't need to be rushed, and healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering with peace. If this touched something in you, take a quiet moment today to look back, not with regret, but with softness. You made it. You're here. And perhaps they helped you get here more than you ever realized. You didn't just adopt a pet. You entered into a soul agreement, one that was written long before you ever met. And now, perhaps for the first time, you understand why they were born in that specific year. Because that number, that final digit, carried a message, a role, a spiritual frequency designed to match what your life would need. Maybe it was the courage to begin again. Maybe it was the strength to stand your ground. Maybe it was softness, or structure, or joy, or closure. Whatever it was, they brought it without words, without needing to explain. Just by being near you, they shifted something in you. Because it was never just about companionship. It was healing. It was evolution. It was love, in its purest and oldest form. So if something inside you felt seen today, if you thought of your pet and whispered, "That's exactly them," then this message has done its work. I invite you to comment below with your pet's birth year and the number that resonated most. Share your story, your memory, your moment. You never know who else it might reach, or whose healing it might help begin. And if you'd like to help this space continue, so these quiet, soul-deep messages don't get lost in the noise of the world, please consider supporting by liking, subscribing, or simply sharing this with someone who loves a little soul in their science. Because around here, we don't just talk about pets. We remember who they truly are. And maybe, just maybe, we remember who we are too.